who you are.
Here we are, time to review Star Wars Shadow of the Sith. By Adam Christopher.
This guy, homie.
So yeah, Star Wars Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. As soon as I saw that front cover, I was like, I'm buying that book. Pre-ordering that. Also, Adam Christopher is an author I am familiar with. I've read a book by him once upon a time in 2011 or 12, his debut novel, Empire State, and I remember being really taken by it, and also that really evocative, proper pulp Art Deco cover for the novel. And I really liked it. I really liked his rhythm, his pacing. It really ticked the boxes for me. So when I saw Adam Christopher was doing a tie-in, canonised Star Wars novel, I was excited. Before I go on into the review and the synopsis, a little history of Adam Christopher. You can't get hold of any of his books, and it infuriates me. I went direct to the publishers, I ordered the books, and then when my final delivery arrived, half the books I ordered weren't available. They are unavailable. And those of you who know me, I hate second-hand books.
I want them new.
I don't want anyone else's stinky fingers and post-cum residuals over it. It's just weird that the first book of Empire State is readily available, but the sequels aren't. And I hate it when publishers do that. It's the same with a children's book series called Tunnels. They reissued the first book, whereas the sequels, their big chunky sequels, aren't available. It just leaves you going, chicken house, sort your shit out, and it left me going, angry robot, sort your shit out. Yeah, the popularity of the first book may be great, but more people will be inclined to read the sequel, so why don't you reissue them? A bit agitated about that whole side of publishing.
Just republish all of the books.
Not one of the books.
All of the books.
I remember even once there was a book that was reissued, and it was a third in a series, but you couldn't get hold of the first or second. I don't know what strategy the marketing or the publishers have behind that. I know they look at demographics and they're like, that's popular, that isn't. But when I saw Adam Christopher's name in association with Star Wars, I got excited. His writing is fast-paced, really well plotted, and it has that heft of pop culture relevancy. So when this came and hit me in the face, as soon as this arrived, I was like, I've got to jump in. And I basically, the book I was reading wasn't really that good, which was this, by Mike Hodges. I like Mike Hodges as a filmmaker, but as a writer, Also, don't buy this book. Don't read this, it's crap. So I was like, ooh, Star Wars time. And so far, the books I've read in the Star Wars canonised verse are a little bit, And as soon as I delved into this, I knew there was going to be an issue. Here's the pitch that is selling you onto, I need to read this. It bridges the gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. No, it doesn't. This book exists purely to make up for the mess of The Rise of Skywalker. But what they do in trying to execute that is delivering a far more muddier, far more uncomplex, unsophisticated, uninteresting, boring, muddled, muddied, ugly, dull novel. But Let's read this.
Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian return in this essential novel set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
This book purely exists to fill in the gaps about Rey's parents, Dathan, who is a clone but is also seen as the son of Palpatine. Those answers that is initially pitched here about the Sith, they give nothing when it's to do with Palpatine. And the inclusion of Rey, it's repetitively hammered in. Every time the character of Rey appears, she is ingratiating, annoying, and the parents say her name continuously. Rey.
Skywalker.
What?
Rey. You might as well have just got John Boyega to do the audiobook of those segments. Rey.
Who are you?
Ray.
It's Ray.
I'm Ray.
It's Ray.
Ray who? Ray Skywalker.
Oh, awful. Anyway, let me continue.
The Empire is dead. Nearly 2 decades after the Battle of Endor, the tattered remnants of Palpatine's forces have fled to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. But for the heroes of the New Republic, danger and loss are ever-present companions, even in this newly forged era of peace. Jedi Master Luke Skywalker is haunted by visions of the dark side, foretelling an ominous secret ground somewhere in the depths of space on a dead world called Exegol.
Yeah, we go to Exegol in visions, and in Jedi visions and Jedi flashbacks and forwards, and this book is just painful, man.
The disturbance in the Force is undeniable, and Luke's worst fears are confirmed when his old friend
Lando Calrissian.
comes to him with reports of a new Sith menace. After Lando's daughter was stolen from his arms, he searched the stars for any trace of his lost child, but every new rumour leads only to dead ends and fading hopes until he crosses paths with Oshi of Bestoon, a Sith assassin tasked with kidnapping a young girl.
Yeah, that ugly guy from Rise of Skywalker who killed Rey's parents. The most interesting thing for me is, what is the character's voice? What is the character like? He's just a drunkard. And this supposed assassin who worked for the Empire for so long, I know there's a certain discrepancies of the efficiency of Sith-related villains, but he's just a bumbling moron. And the most interesting aspect is his visage and his style and his look, but they don't go into any depth rather than he's obsessed with his own iconography, his own name, his own legacy, his own purported reputation, who, you know, he seems to be the only one who believes in it. It's just terrible character writing, thin. And the one thing that I wanted to know was, what was his voice like? Don't even get into it. Ugh.
A Sith assassin tasked with kidnapping a young girl. Ray?
Ray who?
Ray Palpatine.
No, Ray.
Skywalker.
It's so shit.
Oshi's true motive remains shrouded to Luke and Lando. For on a junkyard moon, a mysterious envoy of the Sith Eternal has bequeathed the sacred blade to the assassin, promising that it will answer the questions that have haunted him since the Empire fell. In exchange, he must complete a final mission, return to Exegol with the key to the Sith's glorious rebirth. Ray.
But we don't go into that. There's no... that thread isn't continued. It's cut off. It's disclosed. It's not even disclosed. It's just left hanging. It falls more into frail with this new Sith that we've never heard of. A Sith mask that possesses people. It has a very Lord of the Rings vibe, and it doesn't suit Star Wars. A lot of ideas, as per usual, but they're not fulfilled, they're not emboldened, they're not extrapolated, they're not developed. And the fucking writers team behind this, you should feel ashamed, because this isn't essential. This doesn't heighten anything, it just reinforces the issue of the Rise of Skywalker. You reactionary, unimaginative, cowardly
Cunts.
Yes, and I said that in a Star Wars review.
Cunts.
The granddaughter of Darth Sidious himself. As though she hunts Rey and her parents to the edge of the galaxy, Luke and Lando race into the mystery of the Sith's lingering shadow and aid a young
Family was running for the light. Crap. It is just crap. That pitch, that synopsis is not the book. Also, Lando Calrissian, talk about stereotypes of a character, or of a culture, or of a person of colour. Adam Christopher, you could be accused of being. I know that Lando archetypals, that type of pimp-esque, rogue. The dialogue is monotonous. It is just a constant golden hits repetitiveness of lines.
God damn, that's disappointing.
That don't work in the moment to do with the emotion and the heightened vulnerabilities of certain characters. Also, the dialogue is awful. With Luke Skywalker, you can't imagine these words, this dialogue being spoken by the actors, by these characters. It is awful. Adam Christopher, you have written one of the worst Star Wars novels in existence. You have written and contributed to an ever, crumbling reputation that is the Rise of Skywalker. Ideas. But the ideas here aren't reinforced. And this ushering of the shadow of the Sith, it's nothing to do with Palpatine. It's nothing to do with it. And everything that you feel you are going to garner about Rey's parents, we saw in the flashbacks. We intuited from the flashbacks or from fan theories. What you've done is just, what you thought, you were correct.
The Sith are reborn.
Nothing interesting with Dathon, however the fuck you pronounce his Rey's father's name. All of that conception, that potential is squandered.
Strike me down and pledge herself as a Sith.
For a mask possessed by a Sith that we've never heard of. A Sith who feeds off blood in the dagger that ends up helping Rey in the Rise of Skywalker find Exegol. Ideas about the cult of Exegol, the Sith Eternal. They're there, then they're not there.
Bitch.
Ideas thrown out there. They use the Sith Eternal like J.J. Abrams introduced the Knights of Ren. It's an idea, it's a visual motif. Yeah, just throw it out there, but we're not going to do anything with it. What a squandered potential. The whole conception of Lando in The Rise of Skywalker made no sense. And then by here they're going, yeah, but it does make sense. He wants to find his daughter, and he's basically unburdening himself with that guilt and trying to help some other people. But this is the reason he stays on this planet, so he can wait for Oshi of Bestoon to rise up from the sands eventually. It's just so awful. It is so weak. It is so pathetic. The ideas, the conception, good ideas squandered, great avenues of exploration squandered. We have Anakin Skywalker talk to Luke, guiding him, flitting in and out of the Force. There's an inconsistency, there's an imbalance. No reappearance. Lando didn't need to be in this book. He didn't need to be the centre point because there's surrounding characters that pick up his flack. All he does is sings his best dialogue notes from the original trilogy or those two films that he's in. This is one of the most poorly conceived, conceptualised, put together written books I've ever read based upon established canon, established IPs. This book shouldn't exist, much like The Rise of Skywalker. You had an opportunity to get a good writer in and to re-strategize the inconsistencies. It isn't leaden with lackluster notions. You could have given it weight and heft, and you could have elevated it up. That material that is there, the interesting juice of Exegol, Palpatine, you had it there. The establishment of Ben Solo and maybe his lure to the dark side. Its infatuation with kyber crystals. It just gets so annoying. It gets so boring. It's monotonous. Also, the style of writing that Adam applies to this is pretty lame. It's pretty 101. Oh, I'm going to try and, energise it with my stylings. No. This has been a book that's been strategised as in-depth as The Rise of Skywalker, meaning a lot of cooks in the kitchen have ideas, but they don't actually have the skill to implement, to give it weight, give it juice, give it sustenance, give it reason. So many failures. Lando is not Lando. He's just a cardboard cutout, and every time you walk past him, this automated voice says all his lines.
All right, little buddy.
All he does is pat R2-D2 on the top and cries in the corner and then has everyone pick up the mess around him. One of the most useless characters. I know he was meant to be a general, and there's spots you could have done so much, but it's weak writing, poorly threaded, poorly plotted. The characterisation was fan fiction-y, and what I've noticed is every male author of a Star Wars novel is really, carrying baggage of their fandom. I think they're just so beholden to the notion of writing a Star Wars book, they're not actually writing the best book. They're just writing a Star Wars book. They just can't get over that concept. Every male novelist who's written a Star Wars book so far, for me, personally, in the canonised Vista, is shit. Whereas the female writers, there's composure, there's agility. They show their fandom, but in a way that is paying tribute, but also evolving. This is just a slurry of lines that really disingenuous, that really the writers think, yeah, they're going to get excited, and you just go, there's nothing to this character. You are taking away what was interesting about this character and just devolving him. Luke Skywalker makes some really stupid decisions. Lando, I'm not even going to go into, because that character's just laughable as is. This book, being a Lando book, what the fuck? I'm really not looking forward to the Han Solo and Lando adventure novel. I think it's called The Last Shot. You can't do anything interesting with Lando. He's pretty one-dimensional. And if you are given that room to flesh him out, do something interesting. But instead, he just has a monotony of what the writers and the writers' room assume will get applause. Yeah, Lando being Lando. All Lando does is go,
Hey, I want to help. Oh.
I'm going to give it to the mech droid, R2-D2. I'm just going to put my hands behind my head and I'm going to mope and then be cocky. And then it's thin on character development. Thrust. There's no fusion engine behind it. It's juddering. And then they're trying to cover up the whole. They're trying to give reason and lend weight to the tracking people through hyperspace and all that. Like, you're picking up on the wrong things here. You should have focused on Rey's family, Luke Skywalker and the Force, Exegol, Palpatine, not this Sith that no one's heard of or I haven't heard of, and getting hung up in the details of all of that. You didn't need to do it. It didn't need to fucking happen. So yeah, this, I could only rate it 1 star on Amazon and Goodreads, but this gets 0 stars. It is fucking pathetic. And the price of admission is just on that beautiful cover. Taking these images that look good and then doing nothing with them. It's the ethos of Star Wars in the hands of the wrong people. Iconography, great. It screams, it shouts, but we want something behind it. I really want a book about the Knights of Ren, about Ben Solo's falling to the dark side. Not the comics, a novel. And give it to Claudia Gray. So far, I think she's the only one who actually understands Star Wars and translating Star Wars from that visual medium to being a novel form, a written vista of exploration. This book is just monotonous, boring, laughable, And I hated it. I truly hated it. I didn't enjoy it. But I didn't want to stop. But that's not indicative of it being good. I didn't want to stop because I needed to have reason. I needed to see it come to its full conclusion before I could truly and honestly put my hands up and say, this is not worth the money, the time and the dedication, and this needs to be scrubbed from canon. This is pathetic. This is weak. This should have been a momentous occasion to basically re-champion The Rise of Skywalker for all of its faults. There's bits and parts in there that you could have championed and you could have elevated. You need to listen to the fans, but instead you listen to the wrong people on Twitter, the reactionaries. You know, the bots out there. Listen to the actual fans who understand Star Wars and maybe get them into the writer's room. These fans know Star Wars better than the supposed fanboy writers who are given the opportunity of a lifetime. No. Also, Adam Christopher, fuck you. Fuck you for making a Star Wars book boring and just snooze, just inducing. You feel fatigued, you're bored. There's certain moments in Exegol where you're like, and I don't think it's personal bias of what I just want. I think it's in general. They breeze past things, and there's so many plot holes, so much to just jump into and pick apart, but it's not even worth it. I've waffled on for 20 minutes now, and I still haven't got to the heart of all of the issues. The overall issue is this book shouldn't exist. It's disappeared, it's gone! I hope this could be a reality. Fuck, man. Fuck that book. What a waste of £20.90. Fuck.
Rey.
Skywalker.
What?